There are many strange happenings in the wild country of British Columbia, and none more so than the singular event of coming into contact with a Sasquatch. In the indigenous tongue of a native people, the males are known as the Bukwas, and the females are named Sanakwa. The people who seek them out are known as Sasquatch researchers, and the following reports are from the files of one such man, Canada's preeminent Sasquatch researcher and seeker of the truth, Thomas Steenburg. Good day, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Steenburg's Chronicles with the renowned Thomas Steenburg. Sitting in today is myself, Gerry and Bill Reid, and we will be conversing with Thomas about the current podcast, which sort of picks up where the last one left off at Mount Archibald in Bridal Falls area of southern BC, near the town of Hope. And we're going to pick up because there wasn't just one sighting that night. There were two sightings on the same road at the same night, or within the same 24-hour period, let's say. So Thomas and Bill Miller went out to investigate this second sighting, and this is what it's all about. I'm going to turn it over to my good friend Thomas, and he's going to take you for a little trip per his notes as to what happened that evening. It's all yours, Thomas.
Thank you, Gerry. This case is my BC file 10161, the Ryan Kozak sighting. Ryan was a young man who lived with his mother, who just happened to pick up the newspaper, the Chilliwack Progress, and read an article entitled "If You Go in the Woods Today," which is an article these two lady reporters interviewed myself and the late Bill Miller up at the location of incident file 10160, which was the case we talked about on the last broadcast. Sighting by a married couple coming down Bridal Falls Forest Service Road around 2:30 a.m. on June the 19th in 2008. Now, this Mr. Kozak saw this and exclaimed to his mother at the time, "Oh my God, I think that's the night I saw something on that same road the following evening." And she said, "Well, you ought to tell these people about it." Because apparently his mother, Miss Kozak, had a distant, long-time interest in the Sasquatch subject, even though she was never involved in any research. But she was an acquaintance of the late Bob Titmus, who used to live in Harrison Hot Springs for many, many years before he passed away. So he ended up contacting the Progress newspaper, which connected him to myself and Bill, and we agreed to meet him at the location. And while we were interviewing him, we realized he did not have his sighting the following evening, as he thought. He actually had his sighting 4.5 hours before. So Mr. Kozak here had a sighting on June 18th, approximately 10 p.m. Midnight rolls around. It's now the 19th. 2 o'clock in the morning comes around, and our two witnesses from the last episode were coming down. That's when they had their encounter. So this encounter actually happened first, but was the second one to be investigated. So I'll just start reading off the transcript of our interview. We actually interviewed him out at the stump where he saw this thing. And Mr. Kozak did not ask to remain anonymous, so he had no problem. So I'm going to assume that's still the case. I said, "Would you state your full name, please?" Answer: Ryan Shaw Kozak. "What is your present mailing address, Ryan?" "I will not say that." "What is your phone number?" "I'll withhold that." What is your present occupation? I'll just say manufacturing. Question. Do you wear corrective lenses? Answer, no. Question. What is your age? 21. Question. Do you wish to keep your identity confidential? Answer, no. Question. Does it bother you if your name is mentioned? Answer, no. Question. Where did this incident occur? Answer, Mount Cheam. Question. Here on Bridal Falls Forest Service Road? Answer, yeah. Now, Steenburg note here. Actually, Bridal Falls Forest Service Road is the smaller Mount Archibald. Most people, you assume they're talking about Mount Cheam. So these two incidents actually had to happen on Mount Archibald, which connects to Mount Cheam, as you see in your map there. What date did this take place? June 21st? No, wait. No. Yeah, June the 19th. And I write a note here. Since this interview, we have found that the date is wrong. It is now thought that this incident occurred at 10:30 p.m., June 18th, 2008, 4 hours before the incident in file 10160. Question, June? Answer, yep. Was it night or day? Night, 10:30 p.m. Repeat the time for me, 10:30 p.m. Was it dark yet or getting dark? Or was it still light? Probably just dark. It was dark, but not for very long. Describe the area in which this took place. Forest Service Road, trees. That's about it. Question, what were you doing in the area? Why were you here? No, I said the word here rather than there because we were actually interviewing on the spot. Answer. Just like 4x4ing. That's about it. Just going up the road? Answer. Up the mountain. Not that far away. Question. What distance would you estimate you were from the subject when you saw it? Answer. 30. Maybe 35 feet. Question. What color was it? Answer. Black or darker brown. Question. What was your first impression? What went through your mind when you saw it? Answer. What the hell is this? At first, I thought it was a bear. Question. How did you react when you saw it? Answer. Stop. Thought, what the hell? That's about it. Question. What was it doing? Answer. It had its hands on a stump there, or a stump here. Then it ran down the hill there. It just jumped over the stump and went down the hill. Was it hairy? Answer, yeah, very hairy. Question, did it stand and walk upright? Answer, yep. Question, did you ever see it go down on all fours? Answer, no. Question, how tall would you estimate it was? Answer, standing straight, 7 or 8 feet, maybe. Question, how much do you think it weighed? Answer, 300 or 400 pounds. Question, heavier than a man or lighter than a man? Answer, heavier than a man. It looked pretty big, pretty built. Question, how long did you see it for? Answer, maybe 5 or 6 seconds. Question, did it see you? Answer, yeah. Question, what was its reaction? Answer, it hoofed it. It ran. Question, did you notice any facial features? Answer, No, I couldn't really see that. Question, could you tell if it was male or female? Question, answer, it looked like a male. Question, do you have any reason for assuming that? Answer, no, not really. I don't know what a female Sasquatch looks like. Question, didn't see any breasts? Answer, no, nothing like that. Question, could you describe its arms? Answer, long. Hands like didn't look anything with claws, like a bear claw or different than a hand, right? It had hands. Question, so you could definitely see what you saw were hands? Answer, yeah. Question, fingers? Answer, yeah. Thumb? Yeah. Question, did you smell anything before, during, or after? No. I was having a cigar at the time. So, Steenburg note. I find it interesting. I read and felt interesting that Ryan felt he had to mention the reason right away for the fact he could take no order from the subject. Question. Are there any other physical characteristics of this subject that stand out in your memory? Super creature, I guess. Haha. Question, did you check for footprints? Answer, no. Did you report what you saw? Answer, no. I read the paper and saw Bill Miller's name, but couldn't find it in the phone book, so I emailed the Progress. That's the name of the newspaper. And they passed it on to him. Steenburg note, he emailed the Chilliwack Progress newspaper, which ran the article about our research. Question, did you tell anyone else about this? A few people, but they didn't believe me, so whatever. Stephen note, interesting, he does not mention his mother. Question, describe your general outdoor experience for me. Answer, going up the mountain a little bit, wheeling at night. Never been here at night. That's about it. Seen that. Basically called it short after seeing that. Do you do any hunting or camping? No, I'm not a hunter, but I do like camping. Question, no other witnesses? You were alone? Answer, yeah. Question, what do you think it was? Well, at first I thought it was a bear, but it can't be a bear, so it had to be a Sasquatch. Question, tell me what happened. I was coming up the road here, around a bit of a corner. In the lights, I seen something like a bear almost, but I realized this couldn't be a bear, it seemed to me. He immediately left, all in about 5 or 6 seconds. You came to a stop? Answer, yeah. Question, what did you do after you came to a stop? Or it ran, and I waited another second or 2 or 3. I pulled up, stuck my head out of the window, and heard the loud ruckus in the bushes. You could hear this above the engine noise? He answered, oh yeah. What kind of vehicle were you driving? Answer, Ford Explorer. It's pretty loud, as there is no exhaust on it. Cadillac converter is all clogged. So I have off-road lights. So question, after this happened, what did you do then? Answer, I just continued up the mountain, kind of weirded out, turned around, and then I went home. Question, when you passed the site again on the way down, did you stop? Answer, I kind of went by slow and looked, but no, I did not get out. Question, has any of your friends or family members had an incident like this before? Answer, no. Question, have you reported anything like this at any time to anyone else? No. Question, do you think it was a Sasquatch you saw? Answer, yes. Question, could it have been anything else? Answer, couldn't have been anything else. Nothing could do that. It was just crazy. Any man would have killed himself doing what it did. Steenburg note, he was referring to the fact that the subject seemed to jump over the stump much as an athlete jumps over box horses in a gym, landing on the steep slope and going downhill in the dark. In other words, this thing didn't go around that feeder stump there. It went up and over it. Question, were you frightened by what you saw? Answer, yeah. Well, not for my life, really, but wow, shocking. You don't see those every day. Question, I just want to clarify a little bit. And the way you said it was standing by the stump, you said it was standing facing the stump with its arms stretched out forward. They weren't completely stretched out, but they were a little bit bent at the elbow. Turned its body. Question, turned to look at you? Answer, yes. Question, then it pivoted itself over the stump? Answer, yeah, with its legs sort of walking up the thing. Question, did it go over the top or off to the side? Answer, if it went off to the side, it wouldn't be very much, but he went over the stump, maybe a bit over to the right, but he went right over that stump, over the top. So you were coming up the road, and on the passenger side, you saw this thing standing facing this, touching this stump. You did not see it cross the road from the left? Answer, no, it was just standing there the whole time. Steenburg note, the interview at this point was continued with the late Bill Miller asking some questions, as he really wanted to get a clear picture of what he was describing. Now, Gerry, would you like to play the audio of that first half of the interview before we carry on?
Sure thing.
Okay. First question, would you state your full name, please?
Right.
What is your present mailing address, Ryan? And what is your phone number?
604.
What is your job avocation? Do you wear corrective lenses?
No.
What is your age?
21.
Do you wish your identity to be kept confidential?
No.
Doesn't bother you if it's repeated?
Nope.
Where exactly did this incident occur?
Mount Sham?
Here on Bridal Falls Forest Service Road?
Yep.
What date did this take place to the best of your memory?
June 21st. Or 19th, I mean.
June?
Yep.
Was it night or day?
Night. 10:30.
Could you just repeat the time for me?
10:30 p.m.
p.m. Was it dark yet, or was it getting dark, or was it still light out?
It probably just got dark.
Describe the area for me in which this took place.
Forest Service Road. Bumpy. That's about it.
Usually I don't do these interviews with them. What were you doing in the area? Why were you here?
I just like 4x4 and about it.
Were you just going up somewhere?
Yep. Just up the mountain. Not far away.
What distance would you estimate you were from this thing when you saw it?
30, 35 feet.
What color was it?
Black or dark brown.
What was your first impression? What went through your mind when you first saw
What
it?
the hell is this? First thought it was a bear, but
How did you react when you saw it?
I stopped and what the heck, and yeah, about it.
What was it doing?
It had its hands on the stump doing something, and then it ran. jumped over the stump and down the hill. Yeah,
Was it hairy?
very hairy.
Did it stand and walk upright?
Yep.
Did you ever see it go down on all fours?
No.
How tall would you estimate it was?
Standing straight up, 7, 8 feet.
How much do you think it weighed? I realize you're just guessing.
Yeah, maybe 300 or 400 pounds.
Definitely
more.
heavier than a man or lighter than a man?
Heavier than a man. Like, looks pretty built.
How long did you see it for?
Maybe 5 or 6 seconds.
Did it see you?
Yeah.
What was its reaction?
It booked it. It ran.
Did you notice any facial features?
No, I couldn't really see that, but
Could you tell if it was male or female?
it looked like a male.
Do you have any reason for assuming that?
No, not really. I don't know what a female Sasquatch looks like, so
Mm-hmm. So you didn't see anything that looked like breasts on the
no,
animal or anything like
there was
that?
nothing like that.
Could you describe the arms for me?
Long hands, like it didn't look like anything with claws, like a bear claw. They're different than a hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
It looked like a hand.
So you could distinctly see what you would describe as hands,
Yep.
fingers, and the thumb?
Yeah.
Did you smell anything before, during, or after?
No, because I was having a cigar at the time, so
Are there any other physical characteristics of the subject that stand out in your mind?
super creature, I guess.
Did you check for footprints?
No.
Did you report what you saw?
No, I had read the paper and I heard Bill Miller's name, and so I couldn't find it in the phone book, so I emailed the progress. They passed it on to him.
All right. Did you tell anyone about this?
A few people, but they didn't believe me, so
Mm-hmm.
whatever, it's their problem.
Just describe your general outdoor experience for me.
I was just going up the mountain, and a little bit of wheeling at night. Never went up here at night. And that's about it. And then I seen that. And basically called her short after that.
Do you do any hunting? Or you
No,
like camping?
I'm
or-
not a hunter. I like camping, but
Yeah. There were no other witnesses? You were alone?
Yeah.
What do you think it was?
first I thought it was a bear, but it can't be a bear, so there's no Sasquatch then.
In your own words, tell me what happened. Tell me the story.
I was coming up the hill around a bit of a corner, and then my bright lights, I seen something that looked like a bear almost, but then I realized it couldn't have been a bear. And it seen me, and then it immediately left, all within about 5 or 6 seconds.
And you came to a stop?
Yeah.
What did you do after you came to a stop?
It ran, then I waited another second or 2 or 3, and I pulled up and stuck my head out the window, and all I heard was this really loud ruckus in the bushes.
You can hear it above the engine noise?
Oh yeah.
What kind of vehicle were you driving?
Ford Explorer. It's pretty loud because I got no exhaust on it. Catalytic converter's all clogged, so.
Right.
And I have bright off-road lights, so.
So after this happened, what did you do then?
I just continued up the mountain, just kind of weirded out, and I just ended up turning home.
When you came by this area again, did you stop and check for anything?
I kind of went by slow and looked and listened, but I didn't get out.
Has any of your friends or family members ever had an incident like this before?
No.
Have you made a report of an incident at any other time to anyone else?
No.
Now, just generally, do you think you saw a Sasquatch that
Yes.
night? You don't think it could have been
It
anything
couldn't
else?
have been anything else. Nothing can do that. Like, it was just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Any man would have killed himself doing what it did.
Mm-hmm. Were you frightened by what you saw?
Yeah. Not for my life, really, but I was just, whoa,
Mm-hmm.
shocking. You don't see those ever.
Mm-hmm. I just want to clarify a little bit on how you said it was standing by the stump. You say it was just standing there and it had its arms stretched out forward, and it was.
They weren't completely stretched out,
Yeah.
maybe a little bit bent, but
Right.
it was doing something, then kind of
Turned to look at you.
turned its body, and then
Yeah. And then it pole vaulted itself over the stump.
yeah, with its legs helping, running or walking up the thing.
Like you
whatever
go
it did.
right over the top of it and sort of go off to the side.
If it went off to the side, it wouldn't have been very much.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was,
You went up.
yeah, he went up, like right over the stump, but he might have jumped a bit over to the right,
Mm-hmm.
but he went right over that stump.
You were coming up the road, and it was on the passenger hand side of the vehicle,
Yeah.
against the stump. Did you see it come? You did not see it come down
No,
from
it
the
was-
other side
it
or
was
anything?
standing there the whole time.
Okay.
Now, after this, Bill Miller and I wanted to get more details about, we're mainly interested in what way it behaved at that stump, because they weren't really clear on exactly what it did there. So after the interview at this point was continued with the late Bill Miller asking some questions, as we really wanted to get a clear picture of what he was describing. Miller, okay, Ryan, I want to ask you a couple of things. You might have already covered some of it, but I want you to really think and ask, when I ask you a question, so no real hurry. Try to give me as much information as possible. This particular night, what had you been doing? What inspired you to want to come up here? Answer. I was up here 4x4ing. I usually go down to the river on Gill Road. But people have been burning pallets down there, and I've got a few flat tires, so I just started coming up here the last 2 months or so. Never been up here at night, right? So I figured I would come up at night. Now, you say you were going to come up here. Did you have any real goal in mind? How far up did you want to go? Did you know how far you wanted to go? Answer, no. Miller, were you planning on going to the top halfway? What did you have in mind? Answer, I was thinking of going up to the top. After seeing that, I didn't. Miller, that's the reason? Answer, yeah. Miller, how much farther did you go up after what you saw? Answer, I went up to the Y in the road, turned left, maybe 5 minutes more, and then I turned around. Now, the Y he's talking about is the Y that continues up Mount Archibald. Or if you go to the right, you go to that high lookout, which is where our witnesses were in the last podcast when they were coming down at 2:30 in the morning. Miller, when you came back down, were you looking to see the animal may still be around? Answer, yeah, I was looking. The main reason I turned back, I wanted to get the hell out of there, right? But what if it's back? And if there are more of them? They're only one way back down, and I'm not going to run the damn thing over. Miller, I'm curious. After you saw it, did you bring any family members and friends to the spot? Answer, I brought my mom up here a couple of days ago. Miller, was that before or after you read the article, referring to the article in the Progress? Answer, after I saw the article. Then I came in here. Question, what's your mother's name? Answer, Kathy Harrison. Miller, when you came around the bend and you saw it, I can understand your first instinct of not knowing what it is, maybe assuming it was a bear. At what point, if at all, did you believe you weren't looking at a bear? Answer. What do you mean? Miller. Well, if you thought it was a bear the whole time, I want to know. Answer. I thought it was a bear in the first second or two. And after seeing what it actually looked like, right, I knew it wasn't a bear. For the time before I saw the article, I was like confused. Miller. I don't want to put words in your mouth. So give it a description other than the one you gave Thomas. Think, and if you can't find, let's say, I want to know if it looked short-legged or long-legged, long upper torso, short torso. I want to know the color. I want to know, was it sickly looking or was it healthy looking? Was a little of the top big on the bottom, big on the bottom, little on the top? I want the best description you can give me. And if you were looking at that thing and seeing right now in your mind's eye, what were you looking at? Answer, black or dark brown. Legs kind of looked a little longer than the top of the body. The top part was wider, right, but it wasn't an overweight creature or anything. And when it turned, and it didn't turn by the neck, I don't know. It was not like a human head or a bear head. I had no visible bear ears, so the arms were quite long, longer than on a human. I didn't get a look at its feet because it was dark, and I really didn't get a look at its feet. And then I kicked in here. You never actually saw it walk at all, did you? Answer, no, but it was standing the whole time. It went up the stump. Miller, when it went up the stump, you were talking earlier about it. It pulled itself up with the arms. How did it do that? Answer, it started by pulling itself up at first and kind of running like a ninja, sort of. Miller, that's your impression, like a ninja, like you see in the movies? Answer, yeah, like that. Miller, using its feet up the stump? Answer, gorilla cross man ninja thing, basically. That sums it up. Miller, when it turned to look at you, did it have a snout like a bear? Answer, no. Miller, how would you describe it if it didn't have that? Answer, it wasn't a pointy noise, more like a face kind of. Miller, when you say it turned, and you just demonstrated with your body and upper torso, what made it turn? Answer, I think it saw my lights or headlights of the vehicle, so it turned its upper body at the waist. Then it turned toward the stump, and a second later it was over the stump and gone. Miller, did you have on your beams on your light, on brights? Answer, my regular headlights on and my off-road lights on. Miller, when it turned to look at you, did you see the eyes at all? Answer, no. Miller, no eye shine? Answer, no eye shine. That's kind of weird. Miller, do you know if it looked right at the truck down towards your lights? Answer, it might have looked right at it. Maybe the lights blinded it, but I knew something was there. Miller, aware? Answer, yeah, otherwise he wouldn't have moved. Miller, you said you stopped your truck when the engine was still running? Answer, yeah. Miller, could you still hear it trashing going down the hill? Answer, yeah. Miller, that loud? Answer, yeah. Miller, for how long? Um, 10, 15 seconds maybe. Quite loud. It was quiet down, and then it quieted down. Then I went back up the road and kind of I was kind of freaked out. Miller, the other people you told, you said they didn't believe you? Answer, well, you know, they said things like they've been seen bears running and they do that all the time. They didn't believe me. I'm not going to fight with them, right? Miller, are you certain that wasn't what you saw? Answer, it wasn't a bear or a deer like other people say. Miller, when you say it was big, you talked about the top or bottom or all over? Answer, it was built like, not all muscle, right? He had meat on him too, like the upper part looked bigger. We're still quite big, but small compared to the rest of the body, it seemed. But they were longer. Miller, did it have a pot belly, pouch, paunch, or anything like that? Answer, no. Miller, nothing? Answer, none that I could see. Miller, you think it was narrow-waisted, thick, thin? Answer, medium. Miller, didn't look fat though, right? Answer, no, not fat. It wasn't skinny. It was pretty good build on that, I would say. Miller, you still see it in your mind's eye now? Answer, yeah. I still think about it all the time, right? I saw what I saw. Miller, did you know one way or the other that there was a Sasquatch before you saw this? Answer, no. Miller, you don't go out looking for Sasquatch. Don't spend your time in the subject or talk about it? Answer, not till this. Then I came in here. When you came out here that night, did you see any other cars or people on the road? Answer, I saw nobody. When I came up the road, I saw nobody on the way down. Steenburg note. Later that evening, I telephoned Ryan's mother to ask her about that night and what followed. Kathy Harrison said that her son seemed to be very excited about what he saw and would not be deterred by suggestions of bears or people. The whole incident was going to remain a family affair until the media story about another sighting on the same road earlier the same day appeared. He then took his mother to the location. Mrs. Harrison used to live in Harrison Hot Springs on the same street as Bob Titmus. And John Green knew both men. She knew both men. And had heard lots of stories, but she told me that her son had no interest in the subject before June 19th, 2008. In other words, the day of the sighting. I just got a little update here at the end of that. July 20th, 2008. A reporter whom interviewed Bill and myself now said that Ryan believes his sighting occurred before the incident in file 10160. If this is the case, the sighting occurred on June 18th rather than the 19th, or rather than the 10th, 4 hours prior to the other report, which we had determined when we interviewed him on the location.
That's pretty amazing stuff. Tell me something. Was there a comparison of height made? If it was, I missed it, between the creature and the stump?
Yes, its head was slightly higher, the feeder stump, so they can't remove it because there's another smaller tree growing out of the top of it.
Correct.
But you can see there, and then they're downhill slightly, but the stump is almost just a little above their heads. Now, according to Ryan, that creature's head, the top of the stump was up about its neck and shoulders.
Oh, okay.
And was leaning on it. Now, there's another photograph I sent you, I believe, that shows the scarring on.
No, this is the close-up right here.
Oh, okay. I guess I didn't send that to you.
So you figure
I got it right here if you want to look at it. You can see the scarring on the stump where it looked like something had scratched the hell out of it.
I see. So what about now? He was saying he drives a noisy truck.
A Ford, yeah.
That's not why it's a noisy truck.
No exhaust, broken exhaust, and and his catalytic converter is clogged up.
Well, you got to ask, do these creatures go out of their way to avoid people, as some assume?
Well, I
You know,
got the impression, like I noticed at night, if you're standing at that stump and something's coming off, there's a bend down there, and the lights of a vehicle coming up, they're shining straight out over the valley, and then all of a sudden the vehicle turns and they're right on you. And so
Yeah.
it might have been caught off guard. It might have been looking, and then when it suddenly turned, the lights were on it. That's when it turned panic and scrambled up over that stump.
So Thomas,
Yes.
approximately how far away is this sighting from the sighting in our last podcast?
Less than half a kilometer.
Now, is that as the crow flies or following the road?
Following the road.
So, any idea what it would be as the crow flies?
I never actually measured it, but it's not very far.
Maybe that's something later we can look at Google Earth if you remember the 2 points and see if we can figure that out.
Yeah.
So I was trying to figure out whether or not it just was not paying any attention, rather cavalier attitude towards the vehicle that was oncoming, or whether what you might have just suggested, that it just froze where it was by the stump, in probably the hopes that the vehicle was just going to pass on by, not realizing it was right on a turn where it was standing.
Yeah. And suddenly it turns and it's facing it. And
Yeah.
that's when I think it basically panicked. And instead of just going around the stump, it scrambled up over the top of it and almost leapt down the mountainside.
Look at that. That stump got to be about 6.5 feet high, almost
Yep.
7 feet high. That's totally incredible. And the way he described it, it didn't do a lot of scrambling. It just dug in and leapt, in one leap, went right over the top.
Yeah, well, its feet sort of scrambled up the stump, like you said, ninja style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was there. I saw that stump. That's very impressive, I must admit.
Right.
To think that something can just clear the top like a hurdle.
That's why I think it's a fair assumption, even though I can't say with 100% certainty. It's a fair assumption, since these two sightings were less than half a kilometer apart and only 4.5 hours apart. It's possible, very possible, that both these incidents were sightings of the same creature.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I can certainly see that.
Mhm.
To have a double sighting like that, so close to each other, and time frame so close to each other by different people, that's pretty impressive. I mean, this, like I said about the last podcast, this one has a AAA marking, except for one thing. There's no footprints and there's no physical evidence left behind.
Mm-hmm.
Except for those little scratches on the bark that you mentioned. It would be totally incredible if it had some evidence to back it up. But
by the way, we did. I took out the old paper bags and the rubber gloves and the magnifying glass, trying to find any hairs or anything on that stuff. I didn't find a damn thing.
yeah. Otherwise, a totally believable story.
Yeah.
Shall we play to see what Bill had to say?
Sure. Play the second half.
Just before you play that, Gerry, Thomas, was there right now it shows Bill looking down the hill there? Was there any game trails or any sign of rock disturbances or anything like that?
Oh, a lot of disturbances. Looked like something had smashed its way through. Like there was sort of like a snag down there that looked like it had been hit by something, and there was what looked like spots where something had contacted the ground about 8.5 feet down from there. If I had tried to do that, I climbed down there and I literally had to grab hold of everything, go down sideways. If I had done what he said this thing would have done, I would have either broken a leg, a hip, or something. Yeah. And he said he could hear it crashing through the all that crap down there as it was going down. So it sounded to me like he panicked and it just took off on a death-defying downward kamikaze run.
Well, I mean, like all the bench roads there, the drop-offs are extremely steep. I mean,
Yeah.
I see where those guys are standing now, and I looked around the back of that stump where you had gone down before, and I kept on looking. I'm not going down there.
Mhm.
I don't care if it's sitting on a stump smoking a pipe. I'm not going down there. I'll get back up
Yeah.
again. So let's see what Mr. Miller has. Maybe he can enlighten us a little bit more.
Okay, Ryan, I want to ask you a couple of things, and you might have even already covered some of it, but I want you to really think when I ask you a question, there's no hurry, and try to give me as much information as possible. That particular night, what had you been doing within reason? You don't have to tell me everything, but before you came up here, I mean, what inspired you to want to come up here? Had you been working, or did you just wake up, or what happened?
I was like 4x4ing. I usually go down to the river on Gill Road, but keep getting flat tires because people burn pallets down there. So I just started coming up here past 2 months or so, and came up. I've never been up here at night, right? So I figured I'd come up here at night. And that's
Now, when you say you was going to come up here, did you have a goal in mind, how far up you was wanting to go?
no.
Were you planning on going halfway to the top, or what did you have in mind?
I was thinking of going to the top, but after I seen that, I didn't go all the way to the top.
And that's the reason?
Yeah.
How much farther did you go up after you saw that?
I went to the Y in the road and I turned left, go straight up to the top more, and maybe 5 minutes down the road, turned around.
When you came back down the hill, were you looking to see if the animal maybe still be around?
Yeah, I was looking. The main reason why I turned back is kind of wanted to get the hell out of here, right? It's starting to think like, what if it's back, or what if there's more of them? Like, you know, there's only one way to get down here. I'm not going to run the damn thing over.
Now, I'm curious, after you'd seen it, had you brought any family members or friends or anybody back to this spot to want to...
I brought my mom up here a couple days ago. And that's it.
Was that before or after you saw the article?
After I saw the article.
What is your mother's name?
Okay, when you come around the bend and you first saw it, I can understand your first instinct, you're not knowing what it is, maybe assuming it's a bear.
Yeah.
At what point, if at all, did you believe that you weren't looking at a bear?
What do you mean?
Well, if you thought it was a bear the whole time, I want to know.
No,
If
no.
at some point when you
Like,
come
I
around
thought
you
it was
look
a bear for the first second or two I seen it, but then after that, like, seeing what it actually looked like, right? Like, I knew it wasn't a bear, but
Yeah,
the whole time before I seen the article, I was like, I don't know, like, I was just confused.
okay,
Pretty confused. I didn't know.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, so give it a description other than the one you gave Tom Fink, and if you can't, that's fine. But let's say I want to know if it looks short leg, long upper torso, short torso. I want to know the color. I want to know, was it sickly looking? Was it healthy looking? Was it little on top, big on the bottom, little on top? I want the best description you can give me as you were looking at that thing and seeing it right now in your mind's eye. What were you looking at?
It was black or dark brown. Its legs kind of seemed a bit longer than the top part of its body, but the top part was like built kind of right. But he wasn't like a overweight creature or anything, and like when it turned, it went like that. So I don't know if it had a neck or head kind of, I don't know. Not like a human head or a bear head. It had no visible bear ears, so the arms were quite long, longer than a human's. I didn't get a look at its feet because it was dark and didn't look right at its feet. It didn't come to my mind, so.
You actually never saw it walk at all, did you?
No, but it was standing the whole time and went up the stump.
When you say it went up the stump, you were talking earlier about that. It pulled itself up with its arms? I mean,
Yeah.
how did it do it? Did it use its legs?
It looked like he pulled himself up first, but then kind of started running, like a ninja up it kind of. And then,
That's the impression, mental impression, almost like a ninja,
Yeah.
like you'd see in the movies.
yeah, like
It was
a
able to use its feet to go
like
up
a
that stump.
gorilla cross man ninja thing, basically. Sum it up.
When you saw it and it turned and looked at you, did it have a snout like a bear?
No,
How would you describe it if it didn't have that? Do you remember the profile?
it
or
wouldn't have been
anything?
a pointy nose because I didn't. Yeah, it's like a face kind of.
And when you say it turned, and you just showed me, demonstrated with your body turning the upper torso, what made it turn?
Well, I guess it seen my light or heard my vehicle, so it turned its whole upper body, twisting at the waist, and then it turned back, looking towards the stump, and a second later it was over that stump and gone.
Do you have your dims on or your brights?
I had my regular headlights on and my off-road lights on.
And when it turned and looked at you, did you see its eyes at all?
No,
You didn't notice
no,
eyes
I
shine or
didn't
anything?
see no eyes shine, which is kind of weird.
Do you know whether or not it actually looked right at the truck or just looked down towards the lights?
It might not have looked straight at it, maybe the lights blinded it, but it knew something was there.
Aware.
Yeah. Otherwise, he wouldn't have moved. I don't think.
And you said you stopped your truck and your engine was still running?
Yep.
And you could still hear it thrashing and going
Yep.
down the hill?
Yep.
That loud?
Yep.
For how long?
10, 15 seconds. It was quite loud. And then the next 5 or 10 that I was sitting there listening, it quieted down. So then I went back onto the road and continued on. Kind of freaked out.
And the other people you told, you said they didn't necessarily believe you or they
Well,
didn't
they
take
said-
it seriously?
They said they seen bears standing and running, and they do that all the time, and didn't believe me. So I'm not gonna fight with them, right? So whatever.
But you're certain that wasn't what you saw?
It wasn't a bear or a deer, like other people say. It's not a.
And when you say it was big, you're talking about on top or on bottom or all over? I'm talking
Like he
about
was-
bulk.
He was built like looked built, but like not all muscle, right? He had meat on him too. Like the upper part looked bigger. The legs were still quite big, but they were smaller compared to the rest of his body, it seemed. But they were kind of longer in the upper part, it seemed.
Did he have a belly, a pot belly,
No.
a pooch or a
No.
pouch or anything like that?
No,
Nothing.
not that I could tell.
You think it was narrow-waisted,
Uh,
thick, thin,
medium,
medium?
thick,
Didn't look fat though, eh?
not fat. But it wasn't skinny, but it had a pretty good build on it, I'd say.
Do you still see it in your mind's eye now? When you
Yeah.
think about it? Has anything come to you that you asked yourself or questioned since that time? That sometimes we see things and we tend to ponder about them and
Yeah.
other details come in.
I still think about it all the time. I've seen what I've seen, right?
Did you know one way or the other if there really was such a thing as a Sasquatch before you'd seen that?
No.
You don't actively go out looking for Sasquatch. You
No.
don't spend time with Sasquatch or talking about Sasquatch.
No. Not till this.
Not until this.
But
When you came up here that night, did you notice any other vehicles or any other people on the road?
I didn't see nobody when I came up the road, and I didn't see anybody when I came down.
But you didn't go all the way up to
No, I didn't.
the-
I didn't go to the lookout, so I didn't know if anybody was up there.
Mhm.
I didn't get to the top up there.
You never passed anybody.
No.
Yeah, first of all, on a personal note, I got to say how eerie but cool it was hearing Bill's voice on that interview.
Mm.
Anyway, comparison of I did the comparison of height thingy. I noticed that this guy isn't as descriptive as the couple was. who saw possibly saw this creature at the same day. Both of them who saw the creature, they didn't say anything about eye shine. As a matter of fact, they said they didn't notice any eye shine.
And neither did Ryan. And remember, in the previous incident, the wife never saw anything.
That's why I said the two who did see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just surprised. He wasn't as descriptive of what the face looked like as Norman was.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess, spur of the moment things, some people will notice things and others will black them out, I suppose.
And the thing is, Gerry, we'd rather somebody tell us what they saw than make up stuff to try to satisfy the interviewer. So the fact that he wasn't elaborate, at least to my way of thinking, helped show that he was trying to tell us exactly what he saw.
Yeah. Well, I like the thing about Bill starting off by asking him, now that he's spoken about it, has anything else jogged his memory now that he's had a chance to speak about it? Well, that speaks to what you just said. Yeah. So I just think this is one of the best accounts that I've ever read about.
Thomas, how would you, just to put you on the spot here, of all the interviews you've done, would you place this in your top 5 or top 10 interviews?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, it's one of my favorites. Yeah. The 2 sightings of Bridal Falls Forest Service Road of 2008, June, is on my top 10 list. Yeah.
What was it that was so darn interesting about that year? That very same year, I think we had 4 sightings in this end of the valley. I know I was over to Bill Miller's with Barry bombed, and we were out that day, and I just came home from there, and I got into the door. There was an email waiting for me. Another chap in Chilliwack had an encounter at Ruby Creek. He was heading over there right now. He wanted me to come and join him. I said, okay. I looked at the time on the email, and it was about a half hour before that he had sent it. So I knew Bill and Barry were still over there just off the reserve. So I just phoned Bill and told him about it. And Bill zipped on over to talk to him about a rock throwing incident.
That happened in September, the following September. Yeah.
In September, but it was the tail end of the same summer where this one happened, was it not?
Yeah.
Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, there was another one too.
There was another alleged sighting at the bottom of this Forest Service Road, Bridal Falls Forest Service Road. As you go out and you hit the paved road, as you turn off the highway there's a golf course.
Yeah.
And I was told by a woman that she was told by a man who was golfing that just a few days after this, or around the same time, she didn't know the exact date, that a golfer saw a Sasquatch, or what he believed was a Sasquatch, watching him playing golf from the tree line along the side of Mount Archibald. Yeah, but I was never able to track him down.
Yeah, that would have been an interesting little addition to this mystery.
Mm-hmm.
Said to have so many reports coming from the same area like that, and then poof, there hasn't been a report in this part of the country in 10 years. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's I know you have your theory, as do others, about where they move and why they move and everything else.
Yeah.
But,
it's an interesting road. If you're coming down, for God's sakes, gear down, because your brakes will catch fire.
It's a
or they'll fail.
nightmare.
Yeah.
I thought I fried tires off the Polaris. When myself and Gwen bought it, that was the very first place we went, Mount Archibald, the day after we bought it off the showroom floor.
Yeah.
And oh yes, by the time you get to the bottom, man, you're cooking with gas. There's smoke coming from your wheels.
Yeah. It's a narrow road. And the funny thing is, Bill and I went up there a few times years later in the Polaris coming down, and there were the you can't miss this one because the stump is still there, and I guess it's protected by environmental rules. Because you see at the top of that picture, or that green that's on the top of that stump, is because there's little trees growing out. They call it a nursing stump, right?
Yeah.
So they can't touch it because there's another tree growing out of it. If you go further up to where the other sighting is, I recognize it, but Bill couldn't recognize it at all. And the only reason I found it is because I marked the little tree where it came up across the road there. And I found that. And Bill, he actually started arguing because he didn't believe we're at the spot. And I said, yeah, this is it.
Yeah, and this is where we ended up that first day. We went up there, of course, is at the lookout, or where they hang glide.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like I said, I can see my house from here. If the picture was a little wider, you could see Harrison Lake to the right. But yeah, it's fascinating, rough country for certain. So, but I think that's about it. I think we squeezed all we can out of this one, and it's on to another one. Do you have any in mind at the moment, Sir Thomas?
Well, why not? For the next time, we'll do that September sighting. I don't think we've done it yet, have we?
Ruby Creek? No.
Yeah. Okay.
No. That's the only second place that you got a casting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You had a casting down on Chilliwack River Road, I do believe.
Mm-hmm.
And one from Ruby Creek with a dog paw in it. As a matter of fact, you should dig that one out. Dig out the casting. You still have it?
Yes.
Well, dig it out for the podcast. Yeah.
I will do so.
Okay, folks. Well, that's it.
Oh, before we go, Bill, anything else you want to mention or ask?
No, I think it was a pretty good interview.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. And I think it matches up beautifully with the previous one too.
Yeah.
So I think
I just want to remember Ryan was a brave young man coming forward to tell us about this. And later on, there was a BBC documentary about Sasquatch. I called up Ryan to see if he was willing to talk about it. He was. The poor guy took a whole day off. And those idiots spent so much time out at the September sighting, they decided in the last minute they weren't going to go to where Ryan had his incident, but they didn't bother the phone and tell him. So he ended up waiting there all day, and they never showed up.
You see, there's a lesson for you, rather new to all of this, and even those who've been around this for quite a few years. You cannot trust the media.
Mm-hmm.
Do not trust the media. Because, chances are that you will come out on the losing side. It's sad, but it's true. It's always been like that, and it might always be like that.
They just at least been courteous to let them know they weren't going to make it. Instead, they left them hanging there. And, of course, Ryan was a little upset with me and Bill and them. And, yeah.
Well, that's something that you got to expect if you get some experience under your belt with the media. Nothing surprises. Nothing surprises. Anyway, great show, guys. And we'll get together again in another couple of weeks. And we'll have an interesting guest to speak to at that time. So, Bill, Thomas, thank you very much for spending your afternoon here. And we'll get back at it again soon. All you listeners, I hope you enjoyed. And do come back and keep on looking. Okay, dear listener, that about wraps it up for now. My name is Gerry Matthews. You can reach me at yellowcoyote@telus.net. Thank you for your interest, and until the next time, keep searching.